They are the largest moving objects ever built. Their fleet carries over 100 million tons of oil in a single day. Targets in wars and targeted by environmentalists, they are an essential lifeline to industrialized nations around the globe. Now, oil tankers on Modern Marvels. Longer than most skyscrapers are tall. They are steel giants, carrying Earth's most valuable commodity. Oil tankers transport over half of the nearly 80 million barrels of oil the world consumes on a daily basis. In an oil-dependent world, no nation consumes more than the United States. But America only produces about 1/3 of its needed supply. The rest must be imported from thousands of miles away.
Regretfully, oil is found in some locations that are a great distance from markets such as the United States and in Europe. And the only way to move that is either by ship or by pipeline.
Oil tankers come in a range of sizes and are classified by their DWT, or dead weight tonnage, which is a tanker's weight when fully loaded. The 5 dominant classes are named Panamax, Aframax, Suezmax, Very Large Crude Carriers, or VLCCs, and Ultra-Large Crude Carriers, or ULCCs. The latter two are more commonly referred to as supertankers. In some cases, a tanker's classification name also specifies the region in which it can safely operate when fully loaded. For example, a Panamax is the largest tanker that can pass through the Panama Canal. A Suezmax is the maximum size tanker that is permitted to transit the Suez Canal. Larger tankers, such as supertankers, have drafts that are too deep and must use alternative waterways. Although oil tankers come in a variety of sizes, they're all built for one singular purpose: to carry oil. Lots and lots of oil. And this lone intent is reflected in the tanker's design. Beneath the steel skin of an oil tanker are a series of tanks subdivided by bulkheads. In a large-sized tanker, tanks are generally divided into 3 compartments that extend the width of the hull, and as many as 40 compartments that extend the length of the hull.
The reason for doing that is to prevent the cargo sloshing and to provide stability. I think often the easy way of explaining it is if you were to carry a large bowl of water, I think one becomes very conscious of the fact that it's difficult to maintain the stability. If you can subdivide it by putting in divisions, it makes it a much more stable cargo.
Aft of the cargo tanks, at the stern of the ship, is a lone tower known as the superstructure, which houses all the necessary control rooms and crew accommodations. The remainder of a tanker's deck is an array of pipes used to transport oil, either into or out of the tank compartments below. As soon as an oil tanker leaves port, it becomes an entirely self-sufficient floating city, capable of producing all of its own electricity.
They have huge generating units and generate electricity to not only keep the cargo contained and heated, but also to heat the ship and to run the equipment. They're very large power plants moving across the ocean.
And the larger the tanker, the more easily it can slip through the water. Therefore, a VLCC requires only a single 30,000 horsepower diesel engine for power. The propulsion system consists of a single propeller and rudder, capable of moving a fully loaded VLCC at a speed of 15 knots. Auxiliary generators produce the ship's electricity.
Tankers, by nature, are the most energy efficient of all vehicles. In terms of energy per ton-mile of the goods transported, we're moving at a cost of about 2 cents per gallon. So at the gas pump, the actual price we're paying for gasoline has about 2 cents for having transported the oil.
At a port in the Pacific Northwest, the Suezmax tanker British Harrier is in the process of offloading cargo to its Cherry Point refinery.
The crude we're carrying is from Argentina and it's called Escalante. We carry 1 million barrels. What's that equivalent to? Probably 35 million gallons or so. It's a lot of oil.
Although the Harrier looks safe in the calm waters of the port, offloading is actually one of the most dangerous aspects of its journey.
Certainly this is the risky part. We change the condition of the vessel greatly. This is a dynamic process and it requires careful monitoring to avoid incidents, accidents, bad things really.
During cargo discharge, combustible gases are present on the deck of the ship. A single spark can lead to a catastrophic explosion. Crude oil is offloaded by huge steel pipes that extend the length of a tanker's center compartments. Additional pipes branch out from the main pipes in order to reach cargo in the starboard and port tanks. When the vessel is ready to discharge, hydraulic pumps create a vacuum inside the steel pipes, sending the cargo to more pipes that run along the ship's deck. From there, the oil is sent to a refinery or storage container via additional conduits. The discharging process for the Harrier will take 30 hours to complete.
We'll have to run our pumps carefully to get as much out as possible. And I can assure you this vessel is going to be dry as popcorn at the end of the operation.
But even after its combustible cargo has been emptied, the Harrier can still be a dangerous place.
The power of the sea is so great, you've really got to watch the weather, because if you're doing full speed and the weather does deteriorate, the combined force of the weather hitting the ship can do a lot of damage. It can take steel structures on deck just away.
To avoid accidents, sophisticated navigation tools are essential.
On this ship, you can actually program the ship to alter course itself. The navigation with GPS, and that's accurate up to 50 meters. So yeah, you just read off a dial and there you are.
Besides the weather and combustible cargo, the crew of the Harrier must battle one more hazard of sea life: boredom.
It can be boring, especially oil tankers. They're at sea for long periods. They load offshore, they don't go into port as often as container ships or bulk carriers, and they can tend to be boring.
The trip from Argentina to the west coast takes the British Harrier 21 days. To help pass the time, the Harrier is equipped with a gym, a recreation room, a bar, a full kitchen with chefs, a dining facility, and a complete complement of musical instruments.
You're going to have a love at the sea. You need an attitude, a certain attitude to do this job.
You got to love it. You got to love the job to do it, I suppose.
The British Harrier exemplifies the efficiency of the modern oil tanker. But achieving this level of efficiency took the industry over 100 years and 2 world wars. With a deadweight tonnage of more than 564,000, the Yari Viking is the world's largest oil tanker. Measuring 1,504 feet in length, she is over 250 feet longer than the Empire State Building is tall. Oil tankers will return on Modern Marvels. Today's global tanker fleet provides an essential lifeline to the industrialized nations of the world. But transferring oil by ship isn't new. Its history dates back thousands of years, when the Greeks, Romans, and Phoenicians transported oil across the Mediterranean Sea. No, not petroleum oil. Olive oil. Like petroleum oil, olive oil was the most important commodity of its day, and it commonly served as the financial backbone for an exporting nation's economy. Wood ships fitted with multiple sails were built to reach trading posts throughout the Mediterranean. Instead of transporting the oil inside the hull of the ship, the cargo was stored in baked clay amphorae